Something happens the moment you dissolve a pinch of salt into your morning coffee. The bitterness doesn't just soften, it vanishes entirely. And sitting with that first sip, something else starts to shift too. Not just in your cup, but somewhere deeper, somewhere your body has been quietly waiting for you to pay attention. Most people are drinking their coffee wrong. Not the roast, not the grind, not even the brew method. The problem is what's missing. And once you understand what salt actually does inside your body when it meets caffeine, you won't just add it to your coffee. You'll question every diet tip you've ever followed. Let's start with the part nobody talks about. Your tongue has bitterness receptors, around 25 types of them. And when coffee hits those receptors, it triggers a stress signal, a tiny, almost imperceptible alarm that tells your nervous system something sharp is coming. That alarm costs you energy. It costs you cortisol. And cortisol, that stress hormone your body releases in quiet little surges throughout the day, is one of the most overlooked reasons people hold on to body fat, especially around the belly, especially after 35. Even a tablespoon of cream and 2 sugars doesn't fix that bitterness signal. It just buries it under sweetness. The signal still fires. But sodium chloride, plain table salt, sea salt, pink Himalayan, it doesn't matter. Binds directly to those bitterness receptors and blocks them. Not partially, blocks them. This isn't folk wisdom. This is published receptor chemistry, confirmed in a 1997 study out of the Monell Chemical Senses Center in Philadelphia. Salt doesn't make your coffee taste salty. It makes it taste like the best version of itself. Rounder, fuller, almost sweeter, without a single gram of sugar added. And that matters for your weight more than you think. Here's where it gets interesting. Most people who struggle to lose weight aren't actually eating too much. They're inflamed, dehydrated at the cellular level, and honestly, running their nervous system on this quiet, low-grade stress loop that never really powers down. Coffee, drunk the way most people drink it, black and bitter, or loaded with sugar and flavored syrups, just feeds that loop. It spikes cortisol within about 30 minutes of consumption. It draws water out of your cells. And that cellular dehydration? It triggers cravings. Not hunger. Cravings. Specifically for salt, for sugar, for the dense energy your body thinks it needs because, well, your cells are basically thirsty. Now add a small pinch of salt, and we're talking really small, less than a quarter teaspoon, to your coffee before you brew it, or directly into your cup. What you're doing is giving your body the mineral it needs to actually pull water back into your cells. Sodium doesn't dehydrate you when you're mineral deficient. It hydrates you. Your kidneys use sodium to regulate fluid balance. Your adrenal glands, the same glands that produce cortisol, the same glands that get exhausted when you're chronically stressed or, undersleeping, these glands require sodium to function. A depleted adrenal system craves salt. It sends that craving up to your brain as this urgent signal. Most people answer that signal with chips, processed food, fast food. Not because they have no willpower, but because their body is just asking for something real. Feel that? Just sit with that for a second. You have been fighting yourself. And honestly, your body has been trying to speak. In 2026, with the explosion of metabolic health research, the conversation has completely shifted. Functional medicine practitioners, registered dietitians working with athletes, and longevity researchers are all circling back to the same truth. Electrolyte balance, specifically sodium, potassium, and magnesium, is foundational to fat loss. Not peripheral, foundational. When your electrolytes are off, your metabolism slows, your thyroid function gets suppressed, your insulin sensitivity drops, And honestly, no amount of calorie restriction fixes a mineral imbalance. You can eat at a deficit for 6 months and still not lose weight if your cells can't communicate properly. Salt in coffee is one of the simplest electrolyte interventions you can make. It costs nothing. It changes the flavor for the better. And it starts rebalancing your system before you've even finished your first cup. But here's where the story turns. Because if salt were just good, if it were straightforwardly, cleanly helpful, someone would have told you in the last 50 years of diet culture. They didn't. In fact, you were told the opposite. Low sodium. Avoid salt. Salt causes bloating. Salt raises blood pressure. And, yeah, some of that is true. For specific populations, with specific conditions, eating processed food loaded with industrial sodium. But a pinch of quality mineral salt in your morning coffee is a completely different conversation. That distinction got buried. And who benefits when people reach for sweetened coffee creamers, sugar-packed morning drinks, and appetite suppressant supplements instead of a quarter teaspoon of sea salt? Worth asking. The women and men who have quietly integrated salt into their morning ritual, no special program, no paid protocol, report something consistent. The mid-morning crash softens. The 11 a.m. hunger spike that used to send them to the vending machine quiets down. Not because salt is magic, because they stopped starting their day in a low-grade mineral deficit. Because their coffee stopped triggering a bitterness stress response. Because their adrenals got a tiny, consistent form of support. The body is not your enemy. It has never been your enemy. And here is the part that will stay with you. The pinch of salt, that single small gesture in the morning, is not about coffee. It's about the relationship you have with your own biology. Every day you wake up and reach for something to fix how you feel, to push through the fog, to get your body to cooperate with the day you've planned for it. Salt in coffee is quiet. It doesn't promise transformation. It doesn't ask you to buy anything or commit to a 30-day challenge. It just asks you to give your body one thing it's been quietly depleted of, in the one ritual you already can't live without. That's almost too simple, isn't it? And that's exactly why it works. Because you've been trained to distrust simple. You've been conditioned to believe that health requires suffering, restriction, deprivation, the grinding discipline of doing hard things. But some of the most profound shifts in the body happen through addition, not subtraction. One mineral, one gesture, one recalibration of the way your nervous system starts the day. Try it for 7 mornings. Don't change anything else. Don't add a new workout. Don't change what you eat. Just add a small pinch of quality salt, sea salt, kosher salt, pink Himalayan, whatever you have, directly into your coffee before the first sip. Notice what happens to the taste. Notice what happens to the crash. Notice what happens to the quiet space between your first cup and your first meal. Your body will tell you something. It always has been trying to. The real question isn't whether salt belongs in coffee. The real question is why the simplest, cheapest, most accessible interventions are always the last ones you hear about, and who tells you which ones to trust. You already know the answer. You've known it for a while now. Your body was never broken. It was just thirsty for what no one thought to sell you.